For this how-to video, I'm in the engine bay of my 2020 Cadillac XT6, and I'm going to be doing a brake fluid change on this car. It's hasn't been done since we purchased it, and I don't think it was done by the prior owner as well. So it's got a good 5 years on it, and it's about time to do it. I was able to find the actual procedure online with this online version of the manual. I'll put a link in the description. And so I'm just going to go through it step by step, and I'll show you all the things I do. It's pretty straightforward, but there are a couple of things in here that I'll point out along the way. And the first thing I'm going to do is, it says with the ignition off and the brakes cool, apply the brakes 3 to 5 times until the brake pedal effort increases significantly in order to deplete the brake booster power reserve. So inside the vehicle, just press on the brake pedal 3 to 5 times and you'll feel it. It will get much firmer after the first couple times, and that's what they're telling you to do. Next, you open up your reservoir cap. I put a rag underneath just in case any dripped out. You want to clean off the cap area before you do this, just so that nothing falls in, but mine was pretty clean. And then, since I'm flushing out all the fluid, I don't want to be pushing this old fluid back through, so I'd like to suck out as much of this fluid as I can, but there's a plastic insert here that won't let you go down too far, although there is a hole at the front, but it's just a small hole, maybe the size of my pinky. Try to get a picture of it. Down in there, that you can use a small tube with a suction fitting to try to suck out as much of the fluid as you can. I was only able to get about 3 or 4 ounces out of this, but it's worth a try. And here's the suction tube I was able to use, and some of the fluid that I was able to get out. You can buy a tester to test your old fluid. As you can see, mine is testing bad. It's all the way up at 3% on the water tester, so it's not good. You don't want it to be too high. I'd rather be changing this out if it's at the 1 or 2%, even though it still says okay here according to the tester. I'd rather change it out when it's still okay rather than when it's already absorbed a bunch of water. Okay, now starting with the right rear, here's my setup. I got basically a vessel with some old fluid in it, a clear hose which is attached to the bleeder, and a 10mm wrench. And that tube is down inside this container, and it's submerged into the fluid. So now I cracked this open and the fluid starts to flow into here, but since it goes uphill, it really can't go anywhere until I push the brake pedal, and it keeps it from getting an air bubble that might be sucked back in to the caliper, which you don't want. And so now I'll just go in to the vehicle and press on the brake pedal a few times, maybe 5 times for this right rear. What you want to do is you want to flush the fluid out of the line into the vessel to get rid of it all. Basically what I need to do is get rid of all the fluid remaining in the master cylinder or the reservoir, and then all the fluid in the lines that go back here to this right rear. So I'll push it maybe 5 times, and then I'll check the reservoir and see how we're going. Okay, so again, with that bleeder cracked in the right rear, I press down on the brake pedal 5 times, and we'll just watch as the old fluid evacuates the reservoir here. So it helps to put a light behind it shining through so you can see the level. Right now I'm just at the bottom of this section. This section of the reservoir is still full over here, so I'll keep getting out some of this old fluid. I won't go all the way down to the bottom with the old because I don't want to introduce air. So I'll go down until this is maybe a couple, maybe a millimeter or two above the bottom, and then I'll fill it back up with brand new fluid. Okay, so this is what it looks like after pressing on the pedal 20 times total from start. So minus the amount I was able to suck out, plus 20 presses, it gets it down to, there's some baffles in here. So this front section is down pretty low, and then this back section is a little higher. So I don't know where the inlets are in here, so I'm not going to go down all the way. I'll call that good. And so from here, I'm going to fill it up with new fluid. I'll try not to, well, with this inner cup here, you can't really pour it in fast, so it's not going to probably mix too well with this old stuff. So hopefully that old stuff will still kind of settle at the bottom, and then I'll be able to press that out with about maybe 5 or so more presses of the brake pedal. So now get yourself some new fluid. So I got this Bosch fluid that is .3, 4, and 5.1 compatible. I use this in all my vehicles. I've never had an issue with it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this new fluid into the reservoir to fill it up to the max level, and then I will continue flushing out that old fluid by pressing the brake pedal some more. Also, what you want to do on this back rear, you can see how it's flowing out here. It's about to this level, and then there's an air bubble here that goes down, but all of this is old fluid. And just make note of the color of the old fluid. It's got a slightly brown tint to it. You can kind of tell it's old. When the new fluid goes in, hopefully there'll be a drastic enough change for you to be able to tell that the new fluid is coming through. Okay, so now I filled up to the top with brand new fluid, and you kind of see the old fluid down here at the bottom is still brown, and then this new fluid up top is just a yellowy clear color. And I'll probably get about 5 more presses to get this other fluid out, and then maybe an additional 5 to 10, maybe 15 total more to flush the remaining fluid and the line that goes back to the right rear. So after 15 more presses of the brake pedal, the fluid started to look much clearer coming out of here. So at that point I stopped the bleeder, or I turned the bleeder screw back clockwise, and I took a sample from what was in the line right here, and I tested it with my brake fluid tester, and it showed 0 water in the fluid, so that's good. Now I can move on to the next wheel. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to actually bleed this, do the partner bleed method. So I'm going to get someone to be in the vehicle, pump up the brakes, hold the brakes, and then crack this 1 or 2 more times, just to get any air that might have come back in as I was just pressing and releasing the brake fluid, or the brake pedal. Okay, so after doing buddy bleed, press and hold 2 times on the right rear, tightened up the bleeder screw, put the little rubber cap back on, and put the wheel back on. Now I jacked up the left rear and cracked loose the 10mm with my drain line attached, and now I'll clear the fluid, the old fluid, from these lines. Maybe 5 or so presses of the brake pedal should be enough just to clear the lines for this side. Alright, so the right rear, or the left rear I should say, the left rear I did 10 pumps of the brake, and then 2 additional with the buddy bleed, and that got the fluid to be clear coming out of here. Checked it again, no moisture, and so I capped it up and put the rubber the rubber cap back on, tighten the 10mm down, and now I'll throw the tire on, and I'll move on to the right front. Okay, on the right front, this is actually the right left front, but the right front I finished up with 5 presses of the brake pedal, and then I did 2 additional with the buddy bleed to get any air out, and then on the left side I did 5 and 2 again, and that's it. The next step is just to make sure that the master cylinder is topped up, and you should have been checking that all along just to make sure you don't run it dry, and so I'll do that next. Okay, just top up the fluid to the max level, and then also if you while you were flushing out the old brake fluid, if you had your cap on, as you should, as you're doing the process, you shouldn't leave the cap off in between fills, obviously. And then but if it pops out like this, just reset it before you do the final fill. Push it down like that, and that's the way it should be. It should look in order to reseat. As far as the manual goes, it says to have your assistant slowly press the brake pedal fully and maintain steady pressure on the brake pedal. Then you loosen the bleeder valve, purge air from the hydraulic circuit, and then tighten the bleeder valve, and then have the assistant slowly release the brake pedal. And it also mentions in here, wait 15 seconds before repeating that step, those steps. So I guess they want you to allow 15 seconds for everything to restabilize in between doing each of the buddy bleed purges. So take that for what it's worth. And then obviously it just says to repeat those steps on the left rear, the right front, and the left front. So yeah, in the shop manual it lists the specification with the engine off should be no more than 2.75 inches of travel with 100 pounds of force applied. So it's kind of hard to measure that, but you can get a ruler or something and figure out if you got 2.75. If you got more than that, then you might want to check for air in the system. Before you take it on a test drive to check the brakes, just make sure you torque the lug nuts down to 140 foot-pounds per the manual.